Chinmay says, good morning, sir. Subscribe to your channel, but no recording. Your gravitation lecture, I sent it on your group. Gravitation temporarily I didn't upload because of one reason. In between, I was taking even doubts of other topics. कुछ बीच में कुछ doubts लिया था. So it's not in proper sequence. Right? So I didn't upload. From electrostatics onwards, your lectures will be uploaded. Okay. I sent the recording on the group. Sent it to the center managers yesterday after 1 hour. Okay. Some people are saying they have not sent. Wait, then after today's lecture, both I'll send it in the doubts group. Yesterday I have sent your lecture recording. I think the center managers forgot to send it to you. Right. Today after this lecture, both I'll send it in your group. 3 years का doubt group का नाम क्या है?
ACB says 3 years doubt group.
Okay. Yesterday's and today's lecture also I'll send it direct. 3 years doubt group, I'll send it directly. I'll send it. Yesterday I sent to that the doubt group. It's okay. Now, yesterday we dealt with Kepler's
Today we are going to take doubts of SHM.
Doubts of SHM, we thought we'll take in the doubt lecture now, yeah. We have a doubt lecture this week, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow in the doubt lecture we'll take doubts of SHM. Right?
Yes, sir.
Kepler's first law we introduced yesterday. Right? We
Yes,
saw
sir.
that you have circular orbit, elliptical orbit, parabola, hyperbola, straight lines, all fall in the family of ellipses. That will be taught to you in mathematics. The bottom line, Kepler's second law. Second law. Kepler's second law is actually a consequence of conservation of angular momentum. Consequence of conservation of angular momentum. Kepler's second law is a consequence of conservation of angular momentum. I dictate the statement, but first of all, listen to it. If a planet is moving from here till here in certain time interval, this area swept by the planet, dA by dt will be constant. This is Kepler's second law. Radial vector connecting the planet and the sun sweeps equal areas in equal intervals of time. Radial vector connecting the planet and the sun sweeps equal areas in equal intervals of time. The radial vector connecting the planet and the sun sweeps equal areas in equal intervals of time. Can you prove that? This is aerial velocity. I should prove that this will be constant. Observe this. I'll dictate the statement. Till then, please wait. This is R. This is V delta T. This angle is theta. Angle between R and V. This small distance will be V delta T. If I drop a perpendicular here, this angle is theta.
So 180 minus theta, right?
180 minus theta. Right? What will be the area of this triangle? Half base into height. Half. What is the base? R. What is the height? V delta T sine of pi minus theta. V delta T sine of pi minus theta. Right? This angle will be pi minus theta. So the perpendicular height will be V delta T sine pi minus theta. This will be the area swept by the radial vector in time dt. right? Bring dt to the denominator. Multiply the numerator and denominator by mass of the planet. M B R sine theta by 12. What have I done? I brought dt to the denominator. I multiplied the numerator and denominator by m. MVR sine theta will be the angular momentum. MVR sine theta will be the angular momentum. As angular momentum is conserved, why is it conserved? Between sun and the planet, there is only one force which is passing through the sun. Between sun and the planet, there is only one force which is passing through the sun. So torque about the sun will be zero. If torque is zero, angular momentum is conserved. So if angular momentum is conserved, dA by dt will be constant. I repeat, between sun and the planet, there is only one force, that is force of attraction, which will be passing through the sun. Which will be passing through the sun. Right? So torque about the sun is zero. Angular momentum will be constant. So L is constant, dA by dt will be constant. First of all, write down the statement. Radial vector connecting the planet and sun. Radial vector connecting the planet and sun. Radial vector connecting planet and sun sweeps equal areas in equal intervals of time. Radial vector connecting the planet and the sun sweeps equal areas in equal intervals of time. Radial vector connecting the planet and the sun sweeps equal areas in equal intervals of time. Now take down the proof.
So can you explain from where did we get V delta T?
V is the speed of the planet, delta T is the time. So this length will be how much? V delta T.
Understood, sir.
That into sine pi minus theta will be the height of the planet.
Sir,
Hmm.
but we are ignoring the influence of other planets, right?
Natural.
Okay.
Force on any one of the planet due to sun is maximum. Mass of sun is so very huge that it controls all the 9 planets. Say 8 planets now. Pluto, we don't know if it's a planet. I think now it is not a planet. Yeah, V is not constant. V will change. That's why you took in a short time interval dt. Kepler's third law. Now, basically, this is a tricky situation. We will deal with this for circular orbits. But what is to be done if it is elliptical orbit also, we'll tell you. This is third law. Third law says t square directly proportional to r cube. T square directly proportional to r cube. Suppose this is the sun and this is the orbit. I will take the distance of the planet from the center of the sun to be r. Planet distance. Watch out for this. How much will be the velocity of the planet? Root over of gm by r. You calculated orbital velocity. Yet I will recalculate. I don't mind. G capital M small m by r square will provide the required centripetal force for the planet. M gets cancelled out. V naught is root over of gm by r. V naught is root over of gm by r. Right? Now, once I know V naught, what will be the time period? 2 pi r by V naught. 2 pi r by V naught over of gm by r. Now square this, t square, 4 pi square gm by r to the power 1, 2 plus 1. This r, when I am bringing it to the numerator, this is r to the power 1. And here I squared both sides, it is r square. T square is 4 pi square by gm r cube. T square directly proportional to r cube. You have proved it for a circular orbit, right? For an elliptical orbit, the proof is slightly beyond your scope. But if it is an elliptical orbit, what do you want me to take as r? Circular orbit, mein radius is known. Elliptical orbit, I will take this as semi-major axis. In an elliptical orbit, r will be semi-major axis. I will write that down. Take it down till here.
And so in elliptical velocity would also not be constant, right?
Naturally. This proof by no means was given by Kepler. Kepler did not know the orbital velocity formula this way. He gave us the results based on his experimental observation. He observed the path of these planets for years, every night marking their position on the charts. He calculated the net total time and experimentally observed value. Proof was not given by Kepler. Hence, his contribution is considered to be unparalleled.
Sir, how is it that accurate? But
That's why his contribution is unparalleled, is what I'm telling you. Now, for an elliptical orbit, if this is the sun, you take this as R1, take this as R2, semi-major axis is R1 plus R2 by 2. T square directly proportional to AQ. Semi-major axis. This is called as semi-major axis.
सर एलिप्स के लिए डिराइव कैसे किया?
Now listen to one important step here. I'm going back to satellites, but one important point that you need to remember. If this is R1, this will be V1, this is R2, this will be V. One thing I'm damn sure, if R is perpendicular to V, it should either be the closest distance of approach or the farthest distance of approach, right? Either the closest or the farthest. And then VR will be constant. If R is greater, V will be lesser. Hence, R2 greater than R1, V2 lesser than V1. First point, if R and V are perpendicular, you are either at the farthest distance of approach or the closest distance of approach. Second, at the closest distance of approach, your velocity will be greater. At the farthest distance of approach, your velocity will be lesser, rather speed. You are measuring the speed. Speed V2 will be lesser than V1. Now observe this logic here. This is Earth.
Sir,
What is orbital velocity? Root over of gm by r. plus h. What is escape velocity? Root 2 times gm by r plus h. Escape velocity will be root 2 times orbital velocity. We are aware of this.
Yes, sir.
Now look at the information. We go one step back to Earth and its satellites. Earth and its satellites. This is R, this is H. You are projecting a body perpendicular to the radius. V is perpendicular to small r, implies it is either the closest or the farthest, or it should be a circular orbit. Other than that, you have no other option. I am projecting a body perpendicular to the radius. So you have, if it is a circular orbit, no controversy at all. If it is not a circular orbit, it should either be the closest distance of approach or the farthest distance of approach. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now I project this with orbital velocity. It will go in a circular orbit. Satellite is happy, Earth is happy, you are happy, I am happy. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Suppose I decrease the velocity. V less than orbital velocity. I decreased the velocity, but I kept it perpendicular to R. I decreased the velocity. It is in bound orbit. V is perpendicular to R. So that point should be either the closest or the farthest distance of approach. Are you able to see this dotted line? That is the path of the satellite. But it will fall on the surface of Earth. It will not be able to complete the remaining path. This will be an elliptical orbit. You have decreased the velocity. You decrease the velocity, that should be the farthest distance of approach. For this elliptical orbit, is the satellite at the farthest distance of approach from the center?
Yes, sir.
For this elliptical orbit, is the satellite at the farthest distance of approach?
Yes, sir.
Why? Because velocity has been decreased. I am deriving all the paths without mathematics, using the logic of physics only. The mathematics of it can be dealt with at a later stage when phonics is completely done for you. Now listen, I increase the velocity, but I will keep it lesser than the escape velocity. I will increase the velocity, but I will keep it less than root 2 times V naught. Observe this.
Minimum distance of approach.
Velocity is greater than orbital velocity, but lesser than escape velocity. It yet remains in the bound orbit. Particle will escape from Earth's gravity only if this velocity will be equal to escape velocity or greater than escape velocity. You have projected it with a velocity greater than orbital velocity, but lesser than escape velocity. So it is a bound orbit and you projected perpendicularly. It is a bound orbit. It is perpendicular to the radius. So as the velocity is on the higher side, the distance from the center till that particular satellite should be the shortest distance of approach for this elliptical orbit. Is the logic clear?
Yes, sir.
Three important points. One, velocity is less than escape velocity. So particle cannot escape Earth's gravity. It is in a bound orbit. Total energy of this will be negative. Second, V is even now perpendicular to all this V. here V is equal to V naught. If I give equal to V naught, it goes in circular orbit. Less than V naught, it will go in elliptical orbit. Greater than V naught also, it will go in elliptical orbit, provided it is less than escape velocity. But this will be the closest distance of approach for this particular elliptical orbit. Equal to escape velocity will be a parabola. Equal to escape velocity will be a parabola. It will escape from Earth's gravity. What will be the total energy when velocity is equal to escape velocity? Total energy will be zero.
Yes.
Greater than escape velocity will be hyperbola. Equal to infinity will be a straight line.
Sir,
Huh.
for V less than V naught, it is also possible that it does not collide with Earth but goes in a smaller parabola.
Could be if the radius, if you are projecting it like this, it will come. So
And sir,
possibility it will just scrape through the earth also. Could be anything. Only condition is this should be the closest distance of approach for that particular elliptical orbit.
and sir, can we say that in V less than V naught, the part of the path which was above the Earth is a parabola?
It is an ellipse. No, not a parabola.
Okay, sir.
This will be the only parabola.
Okay, sir.
Sir, can I say that the radius of curvature of the satellite at the 2 points would be only R1 or R2 throughout the journey?
Radius is not R2 here. If I draw a circle, radius is
Oh.
something different and something different.
Sorry, sir, my bad. And so, how did you comment that the energy would be negative at the other end when the V is greater than V?
Bound orbit,
Oh,
total energy is negative. We calculated this.
yes, we did, sir. Sorry.
So bound orbit, all these are bound orbits. This is a bound orbit. Circular orbit is a bound orbit. This orbit is a bound orbit. These both are unbound orbits. Its energy will be zero. Its energy will be positive. Greater than escape velocity, total energy will be positive.
Understood, sir.
Bound orbit energy is negative.
So for V greater than V, why will it be a hyperbola?
Take it down here. That cannot be proved now mathematically.
Okay, sir.
answer.
Now listen. Suppose you take this to be the Earth's surface and you are projecting a body with a velocity of u, making an angle of theta. Making an angle of theta with this direction. Right? U is less than escape velocity. Find maximum height from the surface of Earth. From the surface of Earth to which small m rises. To which small m rises. I will give you 5 minutes to solve this. I would remind you people of a hint. Every question in this subtopic will be solved using two concepts: conservation of energy, conservation of
Angular momentum.
Momentum.
Now listen.
सर 2
This
मिनट दो ना.
in an elliptical orbit like this.
सर 2 मिनट दो ना.
Okay. Now let me call this total distance to be smaller from the center of the earth. What is the total energy here? Half mu square minus g capital M small m by r will be half mv square minus g capital M small m by small r. Total mechanical energy here, total mechanical energy here are equated. There are two variables V and R. I need one more equation. Agreed that simplification will not be very easy, but small m gets cancelled out. U square minus 2gm by R is V square minus 2gm by small r. This is my first equation. Take G capital M as some constant C. Your life will become much more simple. Some constant C, G capital M, and 2gm also.
GR square.
Right? Again, GR square, again you are bringing in R. So some constant C. Now, what is the second equation? Conservation of angular momentum about the center. This will be mu. This will be u cos theta and u sin theta. U sin theta will not produce any angular momentum about O. U sin theta will not produce any angular momentum about O. Right? It's passing through mu cos theta into R into sin 90. U cos theta and R are perpendicular. Now here farthest distance of approach small r will be perpendicular to B. MVR. Farthest distance of approach small r will be perpendicular to B. Cancelling out this, right? I am left with UR cos theta is equal to VR. This is my second equation. Your requirement is R. So eliminate V. Substitute UR cos theta by small r here. It is one equation and one variable. Agreed that it's a quadratic equation, but neither is it impossible for you. Once I get small r is r plus
H max.
H maximum. So subtract capital R from that, you get H maximum.
So first equation, you have done velocity plus field, right? Minus field, right?
Velocity,
Kinetic energy plus field or potential, right?
potential.
Okay, okay.
Total mechanical energy here and total mechanical energy here I have equated.
Sir, I understood what you did, but what's stopping us from simply taking the potential energy at the surface to be zero and using mgh?
Small g is not constant.
Small g is not constant. Okay.
Yeah, small g is not a constant anymore. Did we show to you that mgh will be the difference in potential energy only if small h is much smaller than capital R?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Right. So don't use this in this chapter gravitation unless you're damn sure that the height is much smaller than capital R.
So it's a very long equation.
Use GMSC and solve. Other than that, there's no option. There's no shortcut for this. At most, if they give you theta as a convenient number like 30 or 60, cos 60 are right. But theta is given as 60, life becomes 6.
So 0 or 90 is best.
0 or 90, the concept of the problem is lost.
यार आंसर क्या आया?
Okay. Listen. Now, one important information.
यार
This is
इसका आंसर क्या आया?
And you are in an orbit of radius 2r. You want to shift the planet from a radius of 2r, rather the satellite, from a radius of 2r to a radius of 3r. You want to shift a satellite from a radius of 2r to a radius of 3r. Right? It will not be easy for an orbiting satellite to change its direction flight here and then change the direction. Change of direction of the satellite in space is very difficult. On Earth, I can change my direction easily because I've got friction. I can change my direction easily because I've got friction. Right? Here, I do not have any external source. Second, if I change the direction and make this satellite fly against Earth, I will have to use fuel for it to reach till this particular radius against gravity. I am going against gravity here. I'll have to spend enormous fuel to do that. So what they do is, I know this orbital velocity, V0, and I know this orbital velocity. Here V0 is gm by 3r. Here V0 is root over of gm by 2r. Now, here orbital velocity is root over of gm by 2r. Here orbital velocity is root over of gm by 3r. What you will do is change the velocity to v1 such that it goes in an elliptical orbit with this point as the closest distance of approach and this point as the farthest distance of approach. From V0, change the velocity to V1 such that this will be the closest distance of approach and this will be the farthest distance of approach. M V1 into 2R should be M V2 into 3R. So now you know what should be V1 and what should be V2. This is my first equation. From V0, change to V1 and it is perpendicular. Remain perpendicular, sin 90, sin 90. V0 I change it to V1. It will by default go in an elliptical orbit and enter here. The moment it comes to this point, change the velocity to this, it will go into this circular orbit. How much energy? 2 times V1 is 3 times V2. That's it. From V0, you know where to shift. From V2, you know where to shift. How much energy did you spend? I am not worried about this elliptical orbit now because elliptical orbit has been maintained by gravity. Gravity did whole of this job. I am not spending here. What is delta E? Total mechanical energy final minus total mechanical energy initial. Gravitation is a conservative force. It's independent of the path followed. Work done depends only on the initial and final position. Gravitation is a conservative field. It is independent of the path followed. Now, total mechanical energy final half m v2 square minus g capital M, V0. This value I'll have to write.
So can you take two different V0s? There are two same V0s in the question.
Hence, I'm substituting the value. Root over of gm by 3r whole square minus g capital M small m by 3r. This is final mechanical energy minus half m. Initial orbital velocity is root over of gm by 2r whole square minus g capital M small m by 2r. Kinetic energy, potential energy, initial. Kinetic energy, potential energy, final. This energy spent to shift from one orbit to another orbit is independent of the path followed. Path, whatever you follow, the difference of the energy will be the same. Reason being, gravitation is a conservative field. Work done will be independent of path followed.
Sir, so in the first case where you're going against the gravity, in that way also change in energy should be same only, right?
Will be the same. But for you to change, turn accurately, fire it against the earth, you will be doing work, and that will not be easy maintaining that accuracy.
And so when it reaches V2, we'll again have to give it some velocity to go into circular orbit, right?
Actually, you'll have to turn and give the velocity. Now, some students ask, what if exactly at this point you could change the velocity? We are okay. We'll have to wait for one more turn to complete. It will go in an elliptical orbit like this. Here, second attempt, you can change the velocity. Third attempt, you'll have multiple chances. You will not lose that particular setting. Only thing, it may not be exactly in the orbit that you want it to be.
So what was the question in this?
We have taught the process as to how to shift from one orbit to the other orbit.
Okay, sir. And we'll not be adding that extra velocity required to go into circular orbit, right?
Everything included into it. How you shift doesn't matter. Final orbital velocity, initial orbital velocity.
So but at once we reach in this elliptical, again we'll have to
Or switch off the mic for some time.
So,
Hmm.
Sir, so if my satellite is traveling in one orbit, what triggers this change so that it changes changes its orbit? Like if the gravity is doing the work,
Velocity from V0, you will have to change it to V1.
and that we do through fuel, right?
Naturally. You will have to use a rocket propulsion system to change the velocity.
Understood, sir.
Can I rub the board?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mid-noon, sun pulls you upwards and earth pulls you downwards. Midnight, sun and earth both are pulling you in the same direction. Will your normal force on you, which is your apparent weight, be different at mid-noon and midnight? Will your weight change? In the previous question, somebody is typing, should we make the circular again after the ellipse? Yes, obviously, I wrote there from V2 you change it to V0. See the diagram, from V2 you will change it to V0. All work done, sum total will be the last expression that we have written. The last expression is change in energy. That will be the work done, irrespective of the path followed. From the elliptical, you will again change it into circular orbit. See the diagram once. Now think carefully and answer this question. Your normal force at mid-noon is force due to earth minus force due to sun. Your normal force at midnight is force due to sun plus force due to earth. That means if ever you have measured your weight at mid-noon and midnight, it should be different. Did you ever verify your weight at mid-noon and midnight?
Yes, sir.
Were they the same?
No.
They are.
Sir, aren't we accelerating?
So, you're right. Continue.
So, sir, there'll be a pseudo force, right?
Your dynamic equation is wrong. You're not in equilibrium. So, very technically, your equation is force due to sun plus normal force minus force due to earth is m omega square r. You're going in a circular orbit around the sun. Here it will be force due to sun plus force due to earth minus normal force is m omega square r. As far as sun is concerned, this is a point object. So technically, I take this distance to be r. For you to go around the sun, who is providing the required centripetal force?
Sun.
Force due to sun will get cancelled. So this centripetal force is technically provided by force due to sun. These both are negligibly small when compared to this. So this is equal to this, this is equal to this. I am left with my normal force is force due to earth. That's why you take your weight to be the force acting by earth on you. You take your weight to be force acting by earth on you.
Yes, sir.
While sun is exerting much more greater force on you. Sun is exerting much more greater force on you. but your weight experienced will be force due to earth on you. Another subtle way that the question is put, force due to sun on moon is 1,000 times greater than force due to earth on moon. Force due to sun on moon is 1,000 times greater than force due to earth on moon. Yet moon prefers to go around the earth. And how?
So because of the distance.
अरे डिस्टेंस मास सब लेकर ही मैं वैल्यू ऑफ फोर्स बता रहा हूँ. डिस्टेंस मास सब
But
लेने के
moon
बाद.
goes around the sun also.
Pardon?
Sir, but moon goes around the sun also.
I think this guy's answer is right, but his voice is not audible.
Sir, moon goes around the sun also, I think.
Perfect. The question is deceptive. Center of mass of moon and earth is going around the sun. Nothing in the solar system can escape sun's gravity. Nothing in the solar system can escape sun's gravity. It is earth and moon put together are going around the sun. Moon is going around the earth because of its gravity. But the center of mass of moon and earth is going around the sun. Right? The question is deceptive when we say that moon is going around the earth. Who told you moon is not going around the sun? Moon is as well going around the sun. Make a note of this. One more question based on it need to be dealt with. Now the reason why I dealt with this here is, observe this carefully. Just as on moon, force due to sun is 1,000 times greater. On you and me, force due to sun is much greater than the force due to earth. Force on you due to sun is G capital M small m by r square. Force due to earth is G capital M small m by capital R square. Agreed. This distance is greater. But mass of sun is also much greater. Taking both into consideration, force due to sun on you is much greater. But don't tell me that you are not experiencing force due to sun. That provides the required centripetal force. You along with earth are going around the sun. You along with earth are going around the sun. But what you experience is the normal force, which is force due to earth. Because this force provides the required centripetal force. Why have you given this example here? For you to know that you experience weightlessness in a satellite. Suppose this is Earth. You're inside a satellite going in with an orbital velocity, right? Force due to Earth plus normal force will provide m omega square r plus h. You along with the satellite are going around the Earth. Who provides the required centripetal force? This will provide the required centripetal force. Normal force becomes zero. Weightlessness experience weightlessness in a satellite. Why? Your normal force is becoming zero. This required centripetal force on you is provided by force due to Earth. Normal force is zero. You experience weight, which is the normal force acting on you. Recollect Newton's laws mean man in a left, right? Now, one of them is asking, why don't we get pulled into the sun by its great gravity? Why is moon not getting pulled into the sun? Why is Earth not getting pulled into the sun? Because you are in a circular orbit. Stop the Earth for a moment, it will start accelerating towards sun. Stop the Earth for a moment, it will start accelerating into the sun. Right? Just as an electron is going around the nucleus. You have orbital velocity, hence you are going around circular orbit. You stop any one of the planet for a moment, it will start accelerating into the sun along with its satellites. Why do we experience weightlessness in a satellite? This force provides the required centripetal force, normal force becomes zero. Take it down, make it fast.
Done, sir.
So 1 minute.
This week we have only one more doubt lecture, right?
Yes, sir.
All of you listen to the instruction clearly. I have 2-3 problems to be done in gravitation. Whole of gravitation is a homework. Halaki gravitation is a small chapter. Tomorrow's doubt lecture and the next week's first lecture, that will also be doubt lecture. Tomorrow's doubt lecture and the next week's first lecture will also be a doubt lecture. Is that clear to all?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So in tomorrow's doubt lecture, can you first take rotation doubts because we have a TWT?
Yes. Now, this is called a binary star system. Binary star system. You keep 2 stars this way, they will accelerate into each other. Somebody is typing something that doesn't make sense to me. Soham, I read your doubt, I didn't understand. Leave it. Don't keep typing that so many number of times. If a body is outside the Earth's field, will it be pulled towards the sun? So arbitrary, open-ended question. पूछते हो जिसका जवाब कैसा दूं मैं? If a body is outside the Earth's field, now where on outside I should ask you? Then is it within the vicinity of the sun? I should ask you. Is it experience sun's gravity? If it is outside the galaxy, it will not experience force due to sun. ऐसा पूछते हो जिसका जवाब दे नहीं सकते और छोड़ दे नहीं, कंटिन्यूअस टाइप करते हो, मत करो ऐसा. Binary star system. This is M1, this is M2. This is R1, this is R. When people play Dandiya, you have seen two people holding the hands this way and going around their common center of mass.
Fugdi.
जो भी है, their hands will provide the required centripetal force. Their hands will provide the required centripetal force. Suppose they wanted greater velocity, they will use friction between their feet and the ground also. They'll hold this way and they're going round. First of all, the tension in their hands will provide the required centripetal force. Both are going around their common center of mass. Both are going around their common center of mass. Right? The beauty in this problem is angular velocity of both will be the same, because angular displacement should be the same. By the time M2 comes here, M1 will come here, because position of center of mass should not change. Right? So first of all, M1 R1 is equal to M2 R2. My first equation. Center of mass. Second equation. G M1 M2 by R square. What is R? R1 plus R. R is the distance between the two. G M1 M2 by R square will be M1 omega square R1 is equal to M2 omega square R. The force of attraction between the two will provide the centripetal force for both of them. Force of attraction between the two will provide the centripetal force for both of them. Omega of both are the same. Am I getting back M1 R1 equal to M2 R2? Am I getting back M1 R1 equal to M2 R2? This is my
Yes,
second
sir.
equation. Right? Now, what is the angular momentum of this system? This is what JEE people ask. Angular momentum is M1 R1 square into omega, I omega, plus M2 R2 square into omega, M1 R1 square into omega, plus M2 R2 square into omega. What is the value of R1 in terms of R? Have a look at this and this. If I solve these both, R is equal to R1 is M2 R2 by M1 plus R. M2 plus M1 by M1 into R2. So R2 is M1 by M1 plus M2 into R. R1 is M2 by M1 plus M2 into R. Did you understand what I did?
Yes, sir.
This is one equation, this is one equation. I substituted R is equal to, instead of R1, I substituted M2 R2 by M1. M2 R2 by M1 plus R2. I found out R2. R2 will be M1 by M1 plus M2 into R. R1 is M2 by M1 plus M2 into R. Now R1 M2 by M1 plus M2 into R. R2 M1 by M1 plus M2 into R whole square into omega. This will be M1 M2. I bought one M2 outside. M1 plus M2 M1 M2 upon M1 plus M2. I bought it out. M1 M2 upon M1 plus M2. I am left with M2 R square by M1 plus M plus M2 m1 upon m1 plus m2. Are you able to see that part of the board?
Yes, sir.
You
No,
want to
I won't be able to see.
do one thing. This is the angular momentum of the system. Substitute R1 and R2 here and here, and just simplify and see what you are getting. Hint, try to bring m1, m2 upon m1 plus m2 out. Try to bring m1, m2 upon m1 plus m2. You know why?
Combined mass.
Pardon?
So we can
To
write that as
reduce
Reduced mass. Reduced mass.
Reduced mass.
Yes,
m1,
sir.
m2 upon m1 plus m2 will be called reduced
Reduced
mass.
Yes, sir, I meant that only. I accidentally said combined.
Right. JEE people asked you for that. See, when you simplify this, you should get mu r square omega. Just see if you are getting this or not.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And then I would suggest you solve for kinetic energy. Half I1 omega square, half I2 omega square. What will I1 be? M1 R1 square omega square. This is M2 R2 square omega square. R1 and R2 substitute and see what you are getting as an answer. For a binary star system, no, generally JEE asks application, they ask for this angular momentum. Why they asked, I don't understand till date. Angular momentum of a binary star system. They didn't ask kinetic energy, so let's pray that next year they ask for the kinetic energy. Now that you know the answer. Tell me the final answer that you are getting for kinetic energy as well. Half mu r square omega square. Verify if you are getting this answer.
Yes, sir.
I have to discuss 2 to 3 problems from Irido. Other than that, gravitation is over. You can solve HCV and booklet. So next week, जो भी first lecture है, half an hour it will take for me to discuss those 3 problems from Irido. And then the balance lecture will be for doubts. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
The doubts of
SHM. Next week SHM का doubts लूंगा. This week also, tomorrow first I'll finish rotation का assignment का doubts. And if time permits, SHM का भी some doubts I will take. Is that clear to all?
Yes, sir.
So mu was m1 m2 upon m1 plus m2, right?
What did you think? Coefficient of friction?
No. I was confirming.
reduced mass, right? See you people in the next class. That's tomorrow. Good day. Bye. And thank you.
Thank you, sir.